Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Fabula Ultima TTJRPG. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this role-playing game that attempts to bring the Japanese video game RPG experience to your table, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about sessions, campaigns, and important rules. Let's start with sessions. When combined, multiple scenes form a session. Simply put, a session starts when you sit down and play, and ends once you decide to stop playing. Usually because you have run out of time or think it is appropriate to pause the story. Perhaps once you've reached a suitably dramatic cliffhanger. A typical session of Fabula Ultima will last approximately 4 hours. The more people in your group, the longer each session tends to be. The contents of a game session generally end up being close to what you would see in a single episode of a show. The protagonists explore a specific location or situation and alter it in some way. This in turn influences a larger overarching narrative, that of the campaign. Just as multiple scenes form a session, multiple sessions form a campaign. This term indicates your group's overarching story, the heroic tale you are all contributing to. There is no set duration for a campaign. Some people play a game for a couple of weeks, others commit to it for years. When you sit down to play Fabula Ultima for the first time, discuss how long you want to play. This will help you plan a schedule. That being said, Fabula Ultima is designed to shine over the course of approximately 20 to 50 game sessions. If you want to speed things up, there are rules for that, and we will talk about those rules in a future part of this review. Now let's talk about the important rules. When it comes to allies, some effects in the game affect allies specifically. In game terms, an ally is simply anyone who you consider to be your ally in that current scene. If an effect specifically targets allies and not simply creatures or characters, you cannot use it on yourself. When it comes to numbers, you always round down to a minimum of 0. When it comes to applying modifiers and penalties, you add, then subtract, then multiply, and lastly you divide. When it comes to specific rules, they always take priority over general rules. Now concerning timing, sometimes a rule or effect will cause multiple choices or effects to trigger, and it will be important to know who gets to act first. If all the choices and/or effects are controlled by the same person, that person will choose in which order to apply them. If the choices and/or effects are controlled by different player characters, the players controlling them agree on which order to apply them in. If they cannot find an agreement, you randomly determine who takes precedence. If some of the choices and/or effects are controlled by player characters and others are controlled by non-player characters, player characters always go first. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about the anatomy of a character. Now, when it comes to campaigns, the rules to speed up gameplay certainly help if you want to play a one-shot. You can create a character that starts up pretty powerful. Or if you want to play a short campaign, it also helps for that. But still, I would highly recommend that you play at least a medium-length campaign. Because when it comes to video game JRPGs, that is the typical Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, etc., there is a lot of enjoyment when it comes to watching your character grow. Sometimes very weak enemies seem like unsurpassable obstacles when you start out at the lower levels. But as you grow in power, you start to feel like a demigod at times because you are able to take on so many things at the same time even, with little to no effort. And a longer campaign usually results into an epic saga, which is quite in tune or in theme with video game JRPGs. But you definitely need a committed group for that. Now when it comes to the important rules, these are just there to clarify some situations that could arise during gameplay, when it comes to timing, the precedence of certain penalties, effects, bonuses, dividing numbers and rounding them down, and such. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.